Okay. All right.
Can you hear
So
me now?
yes, now we hear you. Now we hear you. Yeah. So you need to be like the operators.
Let's go.
Shall I admit people?
Great.
I need to say I'm so excited about this panel, guys. To have all of you in this room is so powerful. I'm so excited really to learn everything from you guys.
I need
Thank you so much for being part of this.
I need a prompt from either Ara or Nandita to start going live, and I need some space to do it just to make sure because I have two.
Okay. Yes.
So
Okay, sure. Once we do the housekeeping, I think we can go ahead and do that.
yeah, okay. But I have it on record at least because I want it on record that we told them that this is live, you know.
Yes, exactly. Although now it's being recorded, but yeah.
All right.
Okay. Let's start giving them people access. It's 6:01.
Okay.
Time.
2, 1.
All. Hello, everyone. Hello, Dina. Hello, Rajat.
Hello, hello. Great job. I'm very proud of you and all the team, mashallah.
Yes, we have an amazing team. And we have amazing collaborators like the ones that you're going to meet today. Dina, you think you're really going to enjoy this conversation.
Sure.
I'm super excited about welcoming you all. We're going to be starting really like in 5 minutes, you know, because we are fashion people and we are fashionably late normally.
Yes, always.
So we know how it
But if
goes.
you still need volunteers, please let me know.
Oh yes, we always need additional hands. All this is only possible because of the volunteers.
I would love to help if there is anything I could do. Please let me know.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Dina, for your support always.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Habibi.
You guys see that your meeting is being recorded, right? Hello, Barka.
Yes.
How are you?
Hi guys, I'm good.
So we're gonna just do a little much. Starting. All right. That's good. Okay, so I want to welcome everyone today. It's the first day of Fashion Revolution Week 2026. I'm super happy. You know, the entire team behind Fashion Revolution, we worked the entire year to make this possible. And for us, it's really like an honor to be able to do this. We have an amazing week ahead of us. This is just the starters, but we're starting strong because we have a super powerful conversation going on today. And I know you're gonna love it and enjoy it. So I keep on admitting people on the meantime while I'm talking. Sorry, you see me like all over the place. We have some housekeeping rules first, and I see now we have some user, and I see the face of Aisa like, okay. Last year we had a troll, and from now then we started asking you guys to name your screens with your name. Make sure that it's not something random like some user or user 123 whatever. Because we want to protect our community. So that's one of the rules. Aisa, do you want to share the screen with the rules that we had the other day so that we can start walking everybody about it? Also, it's super nice if you guys want to have your screen on so that you know this is going to be recorded and also it's going to be streamed at the same time. We're going to be streaming in YouTube and our Facebook group so that this wisdom that we're going to be learning today from our speakers stays. And you can go back to it, share it with your friends. If you are doing some work on any of these sectors that we're going to be talking with today, it's also very good for you. So you have the screen, Isa, or you want to share it? Oh, I didn't hear you. Okay, otherwise I'll. Okay. In the meantime, while we find the screen, because I shared it in the WhatsApp group, okay, now it's here. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the events that we have this week. Today we are starting with this very amazing online panel that you can see, and tomorrow we're going to be going to Three for Good. We're going to be enjoying some mending together, and like good old times, we're going to be watching 2 movies. One of them is from our Pauline Doctolero, one of our fashion revolutionaries, and the other one is from Frida Nakana, which is also a very good friend of us. And you can mend at the same time that you're watching the movies, and then you can have questions if you have any, because we're going to have the filmmakers on a call. This day also, Three for Good is launching the Crafters Corner, that if you are into crafting, you're absolutely going to love, because, you know, you're going to be able to find the little things here and there that will make your projects really great. I see now we have this, so I'm going to start with this part before. This is a little housekeeping that we always ask everybody. Normally we say, we decide this year we're going to be more practical. We are going to even have it written. So this session is being recorded, as I said, in a stream live. So if you have an issue with being shown, please feel free to put yourself in black. Rename your profile with your real name. This is very important. We won't allow people that have dodgy names because of the troll that we learned last year. We encourage you to have the camera on. It's just if your religious or your personal situation doesn't want to, then you can block it out. Stay mute unless you are invited to speak. If you have questions, you can share it in the chat, or you can raise your hand, and Nandita will say when is a good time for that. So the moderator will guide you in terms of that. And now is when I share all the rest of the events. So I did already 2, and I continue now with the rest. So tomorrow we are meeting all of you in Three for Good. Please don't forget that. Then on the 24th, on Friday, we have another amazing panel. It's called Find Your People, Change the System. We're going to do this in collaboration with the S podcast team. We have a lot of community leaders in this call, and we're going to be learning how communities can change and can support sustainability initiatives. So it's going to be very, very interesting. All of you, please invite. You have the registrations all over the place. Go to the Eventbrite, go to Aura, I think even through Facebook, and I created it all over. But the thing is that we make sure that you have your link. Then the Saturday is our big day, and our big day we are going to be celebrating it in Bloomy. It's an amazing cafe in Alcuz. And over there, we're going to be having a lot of different activations. We're going to start with a social breakfast, starting more or less 10 o'clock. Then we're going to also have a workshop. We're going to have clothes swap. We're going to have a style exploration. We're going to have a Shashiko workshop, the clothes swap, I said already. By the way, we are also collecting clothes. So if you have any donations and you want to give it to us, because we noticed that there is a real wish from the community to do more often clothes swaps. So bring everything you have around the house, because thanks to your donations, we will be able to kickstart this new activity that we intend to do every month or every 2 months. Also, if you have a little business, reach out to us in case that you want to showcase, because we're going to have a showcase, a community showcase on that day. We don't have too many tables, so reach out to us. 5 already are gone, so we have maybe another 5. And the idea is that, yes, you can bring, it's free. You can come, share your products, tell us a little bit about them. Make sure they're handmade, eco-friendly one way or another, so that they are aligned with the rest of the community. On Sunday, 6 o'clock, we have another online panel, Scroll, Want, Buy, Repeat, and how social media influence our behavior as consumers. Super interesting. We are asking marketing leaders, influencers, everything under the sun to find out and learn more about this topic. Then on Monday, we go back to Three for Good in Alcus, and we're going to have a styling session with Julieta. You're going to love it. You can have literally a free styling session with her. She's going to be giving tips. And because the shop has such an amazing range of clothes, you're going to be able even to buy right there. And then on Tuesday, the last day, we have the grand finale of Dress to Fly. Dress to Fly is this year's Fashion Revolution design competition. We're putting together amazing designs from students and hobbyists using AI. Because of the situation, it was difficult this year to actually have their physical garments here. So we use technology, and we are creating cabin crew uniforms with the intention to eventually put it in front with the people, in front of the right people in Emirates, Etihad, or any GCC airline, and we can change the uniforms to more eco-friendly ones. So that's the entire idea. So if you have any friends in Emirates or in Etihad, let us know, because we want them to watch this, and we want them to see what is actually possible. And without further ado, because I speak too much, and today is the longest one because we have so many events that we need to go through, I want to wish you all a happy Earth Day, because that's the day today. And tell you a little bit about our amazing, our amazing moderator today. And she will introduce you to amazing speakers. Nandita, she is the Master of Ceremonies this year. She's hosting 2 panels. She works in the intersection of fashion, sustainability, and product thinking, with a background spanning design, technology, and retail operations. Her work is focused on understanding how systems within fashion actually function and where the opportunities are to shift them in more sustainable directions. Sorry, I had to read this because she has so many skills that I needed to encapsulate it. So, so here we have Nandita. Please, the floor is yours. If you guys have any questions, for now, use the chat box, the chat in the group, and then Nandita will give you more guidelines. Thank you so much for joining, and enjoy a lot our Fashion Revolution Week.
Hi guys, I'm going live.
Oh yes, we're going live now. Important.
Just give me a couple minutes.
How do people find it on YouTube, by the way?
We will share the link, don't worry. It's our first live on YouTube, so we are gonna learn.
Okay.
That's it time. Yeah. Okay, now it's live stream already. You probably saw the thing. Okay, beautiful. Let's start.
Hang on. Okay. I'm live. I'm live at the moment, but I'm on Facebook.
Okay. You wanna try the
I can
YouTube?
only go live one time. I can't do
Oh, okay. We didn't know that, but in any case, we will be uploading them in YouTube in any
yeah.
case.
We will upload the recording on YouTube anyway. So cool.
Yeah.
I'll share the link on the description box. No, on the chat box. So okay, we're live.
Yeah, we're good. We're good to go. Thank you. All yours, Nandita.
Thank you, Ara. Wishing everyone a very happy Earth Day. Thank you so much for joining us today. Big thank you to all of our panelists and also to everyone who's taken our time from their day to be with us today. Welcome to this session. It's called Connected by Crisis. This is the opening event of Fashion Revolution Week 2026. And what better day to have this conversation than on Earth Day, which is usually, I think, used as a moment of either reflection or marketing predominantly. But I think that we have brought together a really amazing panel today to discuss this beyond just feel good marketing around sustainability, because we are at a very critical point in time. A lot of the environmental challenges and problems that were once very abstract or that felt very distant are now extremely current and relevant. We are operating beyond 7 out of the 9 planetary boundaries, which are scientifically defined limits to what the Earth's resources are capable of supporting. And the systems that we rely on, whether it is energy, water, material, all of these are under very real existential pressure. Fashion, and why Fashion Revolution is hosting this, is because fashion sits at the heart of this. It is one of the most resource-intensive industries in the world, and it connects across almost every other major industry. And it is also highly visible, but all of those things are fragmented. So the aspect of fashion that is visible and the aspect of fashion that is most damaging are not often the same. And it is also the most responsive to consumer demand. So tonight, we thought it would be a really great opportunity to talk about systems as a whole. So we didn't want to talk about fashion in isolation. We are joined tonight by Karolina from KCAL, one of the most well-known meal planning and delivery services in the UAE. And together we are talking about the industrial systems that make high consumption industries possible. So we have the energy that powers the factories or the supply chain, the water that finishes or goes into the raw materials, and the waste that is generated at every stage of a product's life cycle. And finally, the financing mechanisms that either accelerate or obstruct the transition to a more sustainable future. I will go around the panel and introduce each member. I'll pause after each introduction just for each panelist to say hi, so that I think they will come onto the central screen and the audience can get a quick look at who each panelist is. So today we're joined by, like I said, a really amazing panel. First up is Madam Anita Nouri, the founder and CEO of Green Gulf Projects Company. She has over 2 decades of experience in waste management and circular economy solutions. Her work spans waste to energy, landfill gas recovery, and sustainability strategy across the MENA region. And this places her at the center of how industries manage and often externalize their waste footprint. Anita, if you just want to say hello.
It'd be better if I unmute myself first. And the company is called Green Growth Planning and Consultancy. So I'm the founder of this company. And wait, what happened? I lost everybody. Okay, so we focus on practical environmental solutions that turn waste into value. My work spans landfill gas management, waste energy, and emerging technologies. Over 20 years, I've been in this country and working in this industry, helping governments and industry move forward towards sustainable and measurable results. It's always been a challenge. At the beginning, now people are starting to realize that the damage we've done needs to be resolved, and sometimes the struggle is, how do we do it? What do we do? And that's where I come in. And that's me in a nutshell.
Thank you. And then next up, we have Engineer Doreb Ibrahim, who brings over 30 years of experience in energy infrastructure, spanning power generation, transmission, telecommunications, and smart systems. His work covers everything from large-scale power projects to smart metering, automation, and IoT-driven solutions, which is the Internet of Things. And that gives him a ground-level view of how energy systems actually operate and what it takes to transition them towards more sustainable models. Mr. Doreb, if you want to just say a quick hello.
Hi, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the event organizer for such a great topic for this event. And as Nandita has already introduced, and in my brief, you can say, experience about my industry, especially in the last 30 years with power energy. And definitely, I will try to give my inputs and to this event, and to see that all these questions, which are a lot of questions are there for people who are attached with this industry. Definitely would like to give all the answers to that. Thank you, Nandita.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ibrahim. Next up, we have Elena Beresneva. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. If not, please do correct me. I don't know if it's Beresneva or Beresneva, but I will power through.
It's okay.
Elena works at the intersection of water systems and economic structures. She is incredibly passionate about water as the real source of life on our planet. And her work is primarily in advancing the idea of water not just as a resource, but as the underlying system that holds life, trade, and the very stability of our civilization and society together. Her work challenges conventional models by positioning water as a fundamental driver of value, not just a resource, and shaping how economies function and how industries operate within planetary limits. Welcome, Elena.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the fashion revolution, for making this happen, and for Aseli, who is making great job to make so much online and offline. And yes, we're learning that water is actually the non-negotiable limit of every other sector, from the energy grid to the massive AI data centers. And actually, we are currently replacing human life and natural cycles with system optimization. So I believe we should look back to restoration instead of just smarter depletion. So we have enough water for humans, since we cannot live without toxin-free water. So I hope to bring some non-good news maybe, but something to consider, so we're not so much confident in whatever decisions we make in our daily lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Elena. And then we move on to Mr. Hussein Gubran, who is here representing ESG strategy and green financing, which is one of the biggest, most, visible sort of spaces in the sustainability world right now. Money, of course, makes the world go round, and he brings in nuanced perspective from ESG strategy and sustainable finance spaces. He's a finance advisor, working with boards and executive teams across the GCC. His work sits at the point where sustainability strategy translates into capital allocation. So understanding what kind of sustainability actions or plans are fundable and what are potentially profitable or what are sustainable in the long term from a money perspective. And he brings a clear lens on what actually gets funded, what gets scaled, and how environmental commitments hold up under investor and regulatory scrutiny. Hussein, if you want to just say hello to everyone.
Yes, hello. As they say, money talks. So welcome everyone. It's first I'd like to thank the organizers and the community. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm very much looking forward to a productive event. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hussein. And then finally, I would like to introduce Karolina Martinez, who is here on behalf of KCAL. She is the marketing director at KCAL and managing partner at Vivir and Dubai. She works within a high volume consumer industry similar to fashion, and that's why she's here, because fashion and food are two of the most prominent consumer industries with the biggest resource consumption and the biggest waste outputs and waste footprint. So she brings her perspective on how marketing, consumer behavior, and operational realities intersect, particularly in sectors such as ours, where overproduction and consumption are closely linked. Karolina, welcome. And if you want to say hello to everyone, we can move into our first big question.
Hello, thank you so much. Thank you, Aseli. Thank you, the team, for inviting us. It's a pleasure to be here. And yes, KCAL, maybe you know KCAL from a long time. We have been in the market for more than 15 years as a pioneer of the healthy food. And right now, we hold like other divisions here in the UAE and expanding right now to KSA. So I would say like we we are what we eat, but we are also how we consume. So, and what we consume. So this is, I believe, the principal connector that brings us together today. And I'd love to discuss new ideas with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karolina. So I want to start with a broad question that I will ask. I will invite each speaker to speak on for maybe a minute or two, just in the interest of time. But I want to get really quick initial thoughts on this. So the big question that I want to ask today to start off is that, at any sort of sustainability conference or sustainability session, people talk about planetary boundaries or planetary limits like they are a future concern, right? But then every day new research comes out and there's data to tell us that we have exceeded several of them, 7 out of the 9 to be exact. So from where you sit professionally within your individual sectors, do the systems that you operate in treat the resource constraints of the planet as a real concern? Or is that influencing how business is done within your respective industries? And how are you communicating that? I can open it to whoever wants to start, or I can go individually, whichever you would prefer. Okay, Anita, yes, if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, so this is actually a very good question. And from my perspective, I see crisis as a catalyst. And it's how global instability is exposing the hidden impact, especially in the fashion waste and fashion industry, forcing us to rethink consumption patterns. Because if the environmental, social, and economic consequences of fast fashions that end up in landfills, it overflows and becomes a resource that is lost. So we need to find ways to rethink and not think of waste as just waste. It does have a value, and how we approach it and what we do to it. Like, what makes us think that we should buy the cheaper item that is not going to last as long, that is made with weaker materials or less sustainable materials, and it costs much less. But what is that actual cost? And the cost to the environment is much higher than buying something that is maybe a brand that's more valuable, has better materials, will last longer. And then you can repurpose it and you can change it, and you can hire a stylist who will tell you, oh, this top that you've had from 5 years ago now goes with the pants that you bought today, because it makes a whole new outfit, and it makes you rethink how you're living in that fashion industry, rather than just throwing it away and then it ending up in a landfill, if not here, a landfill somewhere else, or it'll go to another country that doesn't use the same type of clothing as us. And Ara knows very well that we've run into these type of things where I would get a phone call from people, we have all this clothing, we want to throw it in the landfill, what do we do with it? And it creates a global crisis, because textiles and the fashion industry is part of a huge part of the waste that is ending up in landfills, if not here, on a global scale. That's just my waste management side of it.
I have follow-up questions, but I will come to them when I ask individual questions to each panelist. And that's actually what I'm trying to do here, because of all of the different perspectives we have. My job really is to sort of connect the different perspectives to each other and to the broader question. So I'm going to go to Mr. Doreb now. Sir, could you tell us a little bit about how within the energy industry, is it very real how they approach the planetary limits as a constraint, and how business decisions are being made?
Yeah, sure, Nandita. Thank you for this question. See, first of all, when we are talking about the sustainability, which is the topic nowadays under discussion, almost all the events, and globally it has been discussed at, can say, major platforms, and to see that under sustainability, how we reach to the targets which we have already planned, our roadmap for the carbon emission, talking about the decarbonization. And definitely the power and energy industry is one of the main, you can say, topic which has to be discussed and which has to be clear to all the industries, because this is the major part where the emission and when we are talking about the net zero carbon, the energy sector has to be seen in that perspective. So how to reduce those impacts from the power industry to contribute towards this motive, towards this what you call the objective to reach to the net zero carbon by 2030, 2050, which has been already discussed and decided in many nations globally that they are going to reduce the carbon effects, the emissions in the industries and all. So power industry, energy industry is the main which makes the effect on the products as well, because mainly the production of any, you can say, industry, when we talk about, let's say, the fashion industry, definitely power plays a major role, because the production of the fabric and then the processing of the fabric, this entire, you can say, requirement is based on the power, of course. So as we are going to look at the modern technologies in the power industry, that will definitely make a difference between the previous conventional methods and the new modern technologies. So the industries are moving from the conventional to the modern technologies to achieve that, you can say, the energy reduction, and definitely the reduction in the energy is directly, you can say, related to the carbon emission. So I would say that when we're talking about the decarbonization, the power and energy industry is the main focal, you can say, part which we have to see in the discussion. Sorry, we cannot hear you, Nandita.
You're mute, Nandita.
Sorry, my bad. Yes. So thank you for that perspective. I will again be circling back. I want to hear from Elena next.
In my point of view, today we need to be honest and to honestly understand where the engineering ends and the planetary limits begin. Because we can manufacture water supply, but we cannot manufacture a planet that has no limits. We cannot manufacture the ocean's health. So I believe we need to stop lying to ourselves that technology makes us rulers of nature. We're not, and we're just the most expensive dependents. And now we're using AI to solve problems that our consumptions created in the first place. So I would turn it like, because we see that we can, for example, reverse osmosis. We can produce water with reverse osmosis, but we lose energy and we create brine. So everything is interconnected. I believe as consumer, and even when we're asking ChatGPT for a fashion tip, it's actually a zip of water directly or indirectly in the data center. So basically in the end, most probably in a few years, we'll have to decide who is drinking the water. AI brain, digital brain, or a farmer, or any of us. Because of course in luxurious places we can still have water supply and we will not have problem, but unfortunately in global south there are millions of people now, the minute we speak, that they don't have access to the clean water. And unless we stop our desire for consumption, we will not achieve any results. We will achieve optimization with the help of AI, but water unfortunately cannot be offset like carbon. If you plant a tree in a rainforest, the exhausted aquifer in the global south or river, it will not be restored by that. So we should be returning to the nature, to the natural cycles, and stop thinking that technology can be our god in a way. That's my point of view.
Can I add one comment, Nandita? Sorry.
No,
Yeah, Ellen, I completely agree with you. And one point that I would like to make, if I can, is that AI is only as good as the people that are feeding it. It doesn't come by itself. It doesn't invent itself. So it's gathering information by everybody putting out there, whether it's greenwashing information, good information, bad information, and then it's compiling it. So when we rely on a computer or an AI system to deliver the solutions, they're only solutions that have been provided to AI by people, whether they're the right people or the wrong people, that we don't know. So we can't just rely on artificial intelligence. It is a good tool, but we need to learn how to use that tool and have it modify maybe what we're saying in the right way, maybe a more professional way rather than just a conversation like we're having. But we also should not lose that conversation that we're having. You know, we could have this panel done completely with AI, but then is that real? Is that really us talking? Is it real solutions? And this is where it becomes scary and something that needs to be watched.
Anita, where I unfortunately going from greenwashing to data washing. Since you mentioned greenwashing, it's like, I mean, the next one is going to be data washing. And unless you're a genius mathematician or engineer, you will not be able to grab this data washing easily.
I think these are some incredible points, and actually the most perfect entry point for Hussein to come in, because this is really interesting, because within financing, a lot of the startups that are getting financed tend to be AI startups, and or like even if a company has nothing to do with AI, they are now bringing AI into the mix to appeal to investors and to appeal to like financing institutions. I mean, the most recent one that is fashion related was Allbirds, which is like a shoe company from San Francisco, and then they rebranded, and now suddenly like a shoe company became an AI company, and everyone's left scratching their heads as to like, what sense does that make? Because Allbirds came in as a sustainable footwear company, so that's directly what we're talking about over here, and then they have rebranded to AI and actually managed to attract funding, which is, again, to industry outsiders, it's a bit bizarre. So, Hussein, do you want to tell us a little bit about how within your space you are approaching ESG financing and green financing?
Yes, absolutely. So I actually, allow me perhaps to answer with a place instead of a framework, which was definitely building upon the points raised by Anita and Elena. And giving you also the honest answer, basically, in terms of the sustainable finance and the ESG space, since also the greenwashing point was mentioned. So, as I mentioned, I'm going to answer with a place. So, a clothing dyeing plant in South India uses roughly like maybe 150 liters of water to color 1 kilograms of fabric, and that drains the well as much as per 1 meter every year, and that cost does not really appear on any loan or credit rating or investor presentation, basically. And as I mentioned, the honest answer is our industry treats the planet's limits as something described in reporting. So that's a very important point when it's mentioned the greenwashing part, and I will be also perhaps elaborating on this. But we need to move from that reporting side to actually something that changes what gets financed and what does not. So every net zero by 2050 pledge assumes we can overshoot now and correct later. And that is not physics. So the financial signaling mainly for that is softening exactly when the physics is tightening, actually. But I completely agree on the points raised, and we need to have a shift also in terms of what gets financed, how actually are we tracking it, and really financing what really matters for the planet. But yeah.
I mean, I don't know about everyone else in the audience, but personally, I'm so happy with everything I'm hearing right now. Like I thought I'll take a few notes and I'm already 3 pages in, just furiously scribbling the entire time. But I'm gonna just ask for one last perspective from Karolina, and then I'm gonna deep dive into each individual panelist's perspectives one by one. But Karolina, KCAL is not just one of the most like recognizable names in healthy food and meal deliveries. It's also probably one of the pioneers in the region in terms of reducing waste, reducing packaging waste, reducing food waste. So as a company, your organization really sort of set the bar for everyone else to follow. Um, do you see that as something that has like, again, the same similar version of what everyone else has answered to within the broader industry or within the broader food service industry? Do you see that as like other companies, I mean, or just it being viewed as a nice to have, or is there a shift in how everyone is now starting to approach that blueprint that you guys created?
I think that would be amazing to see everyone shifting towards the right side, For us at KCAL, I can talk about what we do in KCAL, and we actually don't treat the planetary limits as a PR risk to be managed with cute words and greenwashing. Like we take it as a hard operational constraint. And if we think about it, like when we shifted to biodegradable packaging, it cost us like 1.5 million dirhams. You don't spend that kind of money on just to risk communication strategy. And you do it because this is the right way to do it. This is the right way to do and to operate in a business nowadays, right? So we want to stay away from the greenwashing and not only talk about it, but actually put the money where our mouth is, because it actually gives the credibility among the community and will help to shift the mindset of the consumers as well as leading with the values in the example.
Thank you so much. That's what I really wanted to hear about. And again, I think that there's a lot of interesting opportunity for like the panelists to dialogue between what they've said as well. I want to follow up with Anita first, because honestly, a lot of what you said, what Elena, what every panelist said, by the way, I think we need a merch line with all of these like quotes as t-shirts, because they're just real amazing North Star sort of statements that are being made. But Anita, I think I want to come back to, so what you said about like waste as value and reframing that narrative around waste, right? So the question that I had was that obviously there's an environmental cost to, fully made goods ending up in landfill, and then just sort of that's resources that have been extracted and then are useless. But there's also a business cost, right? And the way the economic structures have been created so far is that waste has just been absorbed into the manufacturing. So businesses don't treat that waste as they don't see it as loss. They don't see it as something debilitating to their bottom line. How do you see that? Do you see that changing, or do you see anyone making change?
I see a little bit of a shift, but there has to be a bigger shift in mindsets from disposable to durable. The thing is that a lot of the clothing that, that gets sent to these recycling facilities or gets put in the boxes, they go for resale. Some of them are not sellable. Then they get packaged and they get sent to places where they think it's going to help, like Africa, for example. And I'll use Africa because Africa is a huge market for clothing ending up in Africa. Ara said something. They're getting winter coats to be sent to South Africa. Why? Like they don't need winter coats in the middle of Africa where it's close to the equator. Like what's going to happen to those? Plus, they don't wear clothing like how we wear clothing. I mean, it's like sending high fashion outfits to somewhere in a small village in India where they think that they need clothing. Meanwhile, most of the people wear saris. They don't wear clothes like how we wear them. It's cultural, it's regional, it's historical. It's like so many things. So if we can make the clothing last longer, then we get better use out of it. And then the clothing that we can't send, instead of sending it to those places, why not shred them and make them into blankets or make them into beds for all the animals that are in shelters? Or there could be so much more that we could do with it here. And that is a whole other industry that can be built. It's just such a huge topic. So recycling, it remains low despite the awareness. And we need to make those solutions scalable and they need to be commercially viable. A lot of the big brands, instead of sending stuff back to France or Italy or wherever they came from, they'd rather send it to the landfill under lock and key and destroy it rather than risking it going into the black market. That's a whole other Pandora's box of a disaster that we don't even want to think about that. But like, what do we do? So a lot of awareness, a lot of talking, and a lot of execution and action can only happen if it becomes economically feasible for the companies to do this. And yeah, you're right. Industry needs to slow down all the overproduction. We also live in a society where things break. They're built to break. They're marketed to push the young people to buy more and want it fast and want it now. No, not many people go and have a suit made. They'd rather go and buy it off the shelf, wear it for one wedding, and then say, oh, I can't wear it again for the next wedding because everybody saw that at the last wedding. I mean, it's completely crazy. But what to do?
I find it so funny because it's so I know people who buy clothes at a rate where I can't understand it. But what you said is essentially the downcycling versus like core reduction in consumption and production issue, right? Do you see in your work a shift in policy, and do you see that policy being implemented fast enough, or is that policy comprehensive enough to have an impact?
I don't see such a big policy when it comes to fashion. I know that Karolina can confirm for the food and food industry, there is legislation in place. They do have to reduce plastic. They do have to put what's the material called? Biodegradable materials. But how biodegradable is it? What are we using instead of using plastic? Why can't the plastic be reused? These are all questions that are not fully understood or answered. And then even though it's biodegradable, because they've built incineration plants and they want to close all the landfills, now the biodegradable ends up going still now to the incineration plant and burned in incineration. So the extra money that was spent by companies like KCAL and all these ones that are wanting to make a good impact are still being ending up as waste, and it is wasteful. But I don't even have a full answer for that. But for fashion, there is not as much legislation in place forcing people. In Europe, they have laws. They don't really have them here as much.
I want to use this question to sort of, I want an answer from both you and then Mr. Doreb, and then I will go into the Mr. Doreb's questions as well. You mentioned that like the policy, some of it is it's quite fragmented. Certain countries, you know, most notably the EU is sort of leading the charge in terms of at least transparency and reporting, so that people know where the problem is, right? But for an industry that is as globalized, with such a widespread supply chain, like a single t-shirt, the fiber comes from one country, then goes to another country to turn into thread, and then goes to another country to turn into fabric, and then goes to another country to be cut and sewed, and then goes to like 70 other countries to be sold. And obviously, this is a resource intensive, this is very, very energy intensive, very carbon intensive. And so, do you believe, for both Anita and Mr. Ibrahim, that the way that the policies are being framed is too limited? An individual country or like a group of 3 or 4 countries creating a policy is not the right way. There needs to be a much more constant, a much more combined sort of enforceable policy that is applicable to like the world as a large. And is that even feasible?
Yeah, as you said that, you see, policy framework has to be structured, and you're right that mainly the fashion industry is not at present the priority decarbonization sector, especially in UAE and the Middle East region, because this region mainly they are not into the production, fabric production, but they are the users, they are the retail, you can say, industries. So looking at this, the policy has to be very clear in this industry, making the decisions subject to the requirement, and how the framework should be designed, taking into factors like you said about the power and energy. See, we have to see few factors about the consumption pattern, okay, especially for this industry. And that definitely, and the sustainability, you have to see that how you're going to optimize the consumption, especially for water, gas, electricity. And that is where we have to limit our, you can say, these factors. So talking about the energy consumption, where you bring all these technologies and where you see that how you can optimize those energy patterns, and how you make it more efficient, how the industry can be transformed, making it less consumption. And you know that you have to first see that you are transforming from the conventional way of generation, which is the fossil fuel based, towards the green energy. So, I mean, the global shift is there towards the power generation, mainly from fossil fuel like the diesel generators and gas generators, towards the solar and the wind turbines. So this is the approach which normally the industries are now adopting, and this is the right, you can say, approach to see how you can reduce your consumption, how the cost of these products, especially in the fashion industries, it depends on the factors, including the cost as well, which is mainly the power cost or the energy cost is the major part of that production. And that will make a difference when you're talking about the supply and demand, because as the fashion industry is moving towards to meet the demand, definitely the industry has to see that how they are going to optimize those requirements, especially for the energy, water, gas, and all. So the policy framework is very important, and as this is not a priority decarbonization sector, but still we have to make our policies accordingly.
Yeah. I'd like to add a little bit to what Mr. Ibrahim said, that there is actually a strong, strong lobby for fossil fuels, and fossil fuels are not disappearing very fast, especially with the geopolitical situation that's going on here right now. The other thing is, it's not just policy, it's consumer behavior that needs to change. It's the keeping up with the Joneses attitude. We live in a place in the world where to look good, you look good, you feel good. If you don't look good, you don't feel good. You're not really shamed, but people look at what you're wearing, like you have to go out full makeup, you have to have your nails done, you have to watch what the influencers are doing, and they're getting paid a lot of money to keep on showing all these new things that they're buying and getting for free. And it's just like a whirlpool of a disaster that we can't get out of. And it's not policy that's going to change that. It's consumer behavior needs to change. We need to realize that it's not only what you have that makes you the person that you are. It's like we need to, I'll use an expression my dad used to use many, many years ago. We need to grow a brain and think more about what we're doing, because we're doing it to ourselves. Yeah. And there needs to be a global policy, really.
I couldn't agree more. I think that, like, if we had to have the singularity and have AI, it should be the kind that goes like, all of you are evil, everything is bad. And this is what we need to do to bring the earth back on track. That is the only acceptable use case. But I want to go back to Mr. Ibrahim for one last question. Sir, you were talking about how the fashion is not a priority in the energy or decarbonization in let's say in the UAE. But your experience also includes working in countries that are producing countries, that are manufacturing countries. So how closely aligned are the corporate sort of climate commitments with what is operationally feasible on the ground in garment producing countries? And also, because this was mentioned by the panelists as well, that a lot of the damage is happening in global south countries, and the global south countries are also where a bulk of the production is happening. So, are those countries at least getting any kind of support? Is that in your experience, or are you seeing a change in how producing countries are approaching energy?
Yeah, definitely. When we are talking about in the global framework, where those countries who are producing these fabrics and the garments, definitely they have a higher, you can say, rate of emission, and there we have to seriously see that how it can be controlled. So there, I mean, in those countries, the policies will make a major difference, because you have to see that how your consumption pattern towards those industries can be controlled. And then we are talking about these tools which we are talking about here. See, AI tools are not a negative, you can say, towards those industries' perspective. These tools are utilized to how you make your patterns, I mean, especially when we're talking about the fabric or the fashion industries, manufacturing of these garments and all. So there you have to see that how these energy patterns are being adopted by those industries, and that how to optimize those energy patterns. So I'm talking about my industry part. I'm definitely so the industries knows. I mean, nowadays it's very, you can say, very clear for all the industrialists that how they can optimize. Now these, they are I mean, almost all globally now they are implementing the smart meters. So smart meters give them the platform where they can see their energy patterns. They can see how much the real energy they are consuming and how much losses, and further how they can optimize their industry to reduce those losses. Because losses is again an impact on the consumer itself as well as for the electricity company who is supplying the power. So I mean to say that how these tariffs, the electricity companies, when they finalize those tariffs, they have to see that how much capital investment they put on the infrastructure, and then how much the impact on the consumer it comes. So, but there are several ways how the consumer can control those factors, like the industry we are talking about, the uh, garment factories and the fabric manufacturers. They can install some of the equipments which optimizes those energy need. Like if your power factor is very bad, you have to introduce the capacitive equipment, power factor improvement plan to improve the power factor. This is actually for the electricity company to reduce their losses. This is for the consumer itself and for the industry. So these factors definitely it will affect.
Hussein, this is very green financing coded. Anita, I will come back to you. Just one last. This is just a yes or no. I mean, a very short answer, but it's like just at the very, at the long and short of it, Mr. Ibrahim. What you mentioned about manufacturing units or factories sort of having these solutions with new technologies. Have you seen any real subsidies being offered to these companies as their incentivization? Because, in my opinion, that is really the only thing that would make people deviate from business as usual.
See, those electricity companies, the industries, they subsidize. They give some options, like for the industry who are utilizing the peak load. During the peak loads time, their tariff rates are very high. So the electricity company, they give them the options that they can turn their industry from the working hours in the daytime, which is the highest peak time, to the low peak time, which is in the night. So they can transform the industry from the day to night. So this is where the electricity company are looking for, and this is where we call it how the energy consumption can be reduced.
Right.
Especially, they are helping the electricity companies, the industries, to overcome their load burden, their peak load burden, and which makes a lot of difference, when those industries transform themselves.
I want to hear from Anita ma'am very quickly because you raised your hand, and then I will move on to the next speaker.
Yeah, it's just briefly what I wanted to support with what Ibrahim was saying. So, first of all, there's no real subsidies here in this part of the world. Like they don't subsidize energy reduction, but there are methodologies available for waste reduction in form of carbon credits. Unfortunately, though, carbon offsets have a bad name for no real reason. When you're buying a carbon offset and someone is actually doing something to reduce water usage, to reduce plastics, to reduce paper and wood waste, and they're doing something good for the environment, and they're generating credits, if they get paid for those credits, then they can continue doing what they're doing, and then it supports the economy. So somehow we don't have subsidies, but we could sell carbon credits. And we need to change the idea that offsets are a bad thing. They're not a bad thing. They help industry. So when a little person in a small place in a faraway land is doing something good for the environment and they're generating carbon credits, and I buy those credits for $20 a credit, and they make an extra $100 or $1,000, they can continue doing what they're doing. They can support their community. They can support their families by being able to buy food, and it reduces the impact on the world and the environment and the struggle that we're having. So why are we not pushing carbon credits rather than looking for subsidies from governments who really want us to use more oil, to make more plastic, to be more environmentally unfriendly, when we could be doing something that is better?
So I think, again, that's an excellent segue to Elena, because she did mention offsets herself. I just want to say, though, I think, and this is, from my personal research as in the sustainability space, but I think the primary, and I will put, circle back to this question at the end for the overall, like for the panel as a whole. But I think with offsets as a mechanism, the biggest criticism that I've come across is that it's not that it's not a good solution. It's that people kind of tend to stop there, and that's the wrong attitude to have towards it. And that's because I think people are missing nuance. But the fact that, like, yes, you should offset, but that is not a reason to not actually decarbonize your own business and actively work on reducing carbon throughout the supply chain, not just buying credits to offset what you're doing and then carrying on.
Okay, just to help you to answer that, which you maybe not have found in your research, is that someone like an Emirates Airlines flies an airplane. They're going to make carbon emissions no matter what. They have to. So why are they not forced to buy carbon credits to support the economy? And that's what an offset does. It creates a balance. So they're doing something in their industry that they cannot change, but they're supporting another industry that is making a change. So it balances each other, because net zero only means to create the emissions that the world can take. So if it can only take so much, then we're not net zero. Net zero doesn't mean zero waste. It means balance. So we need to learn how to balance. Emirates Global Aluminum, in their industry, they produce a lot of carbon emissions. They have to. So why are they not buying carbon credits? Why is RTA not buying carbon credits? DEWA has carbon credits. They have a whole system in place. So this is where the offsets come in. Not for the little guy who's trying to greenwash or trying to sell credits by planting 50 million trees in Brazil because they already have trees there. How can I know that they actually planted those trees? A lot of greenwashing happens in those kind of things. But when you have a project here, it's monitored, it's verified, and then it has third-party verification. And hopefully we can reduce the amount of greenwashing that happens. And then if you write the proper methodology, then you can make an impact, and then the offset becomes a good offset. So that's all what I was thinking about.
I think this ties into what I wanted to ask Elena, if you want to come into the conversation, please. So one of the things that really stayed with me from your opening remarks was that, everyone talks about carbon offsets, but you can't offset water consumption. This it also ties into what I wanted to ask Karolina, because food systems and fashion systems use a lot of water at sort of every stage of from the agricultural stage to the production stage. Elena, in your opinion, how can companies that produce and companies that distribute consumer goods really take accountability for water consumption? Because oftentimes the water usage is happening at a stage that they are not necessarily directly a part of.
Thank you for your question. Actually, what I meant is that water offsets are paper water. because water is local, and a company claiming net zero water while operating in a water-stressed region, it's like a person trying to pay a mortgage with a friendship credits instead of cash. You know, it doesn't keep the light on. So the banks should not fund the factory just because it uses 10% less of water per t-shirt, for example. They must ask if the total volume of water used by all their clients exceed the physical floor of the region. So because there can be no growth in a dying basin, I would say. So we need to look at the restoration at first place. And I believe this is important because at the moment we were talking about the waste as well. What we're designing now is the future waste streams that actually our infrastructure eventually won't be able to handle, because even when the factories treat their water, there is the toxic solid waste, which is dumped in unlined landfills that Anita was talking about, where rain eventually leaches those toxins back to the groundwater. And this is creating a secondary water crisis that is not captured in the standard industry metrics. So we have already exceeded the freshwater change boundary. And where like our conversation is going mainly into managing the risk. So how to keep the business running while the world changes. But I would like to talk about the reality, how we must change the business so it fits within the world. Because there is a lot of indirect and direct water usage, even for the chips, for cooling, for AI data center coolings. There are a lot of things. For example, from next year, for sales in Europe of clothes, products will need the digital product passport. It will track the life cycle of physical goods. And they will have availability water remaining method that will actually calculate the water that has been used and if the aquifer was depleted. But to track address, we will put a digital code. We will use a separate AI to read this data, and after another AI to explain to consumers what this digital tag means. So for tracking this, we will use another 15% of the dress's total footprint for this new system. So it's we're sort of measuring our destruction in real time. This is what we're doing. And I believe that we should turn to the biology of the people, because the humans need clean air, 37 degrees core temperature in the body and outside for sustaining life, and non-toxic water. So we need to go back from manufactured water and AI-driven fashion to biological limits. And because we cannot reboot an exhausted aquifer or the community that has no drinking water.
Building on that, I can't just measuring destruction in real time. I will reach out to you separately. I want t-shirts with all of these slogans on that. Actually, building on what you said about how, so, this is the digital product passport is being seen as like, this really groundbreaking technological intervention. And we've had other specialists talk about technology as an intervention. But like you very rightly pointed out, the way the DPP system is built, it needs AI to power it, and that running that AI adds to the overall resource footprint of the product. So the issue is that like all of this consumption or extraction that happens, the most vulnerable regions that are affected by it, like as of today, as of this very moment, it's become a human rights issue, right? And the regions that are most affected have the least amount of voice in these kind of sessions, in these kind of whether it's a panel like this or it's like global forums, global sustainability discussions, right? So the most impacted are the least represented. In the technical and policy conversations that you are a part of, does that factor in? Are people thinking about that at all? That like there aren't the voices that need to be heard are not being heard?
You know, accountability is like a remote control program, problem. So actually, since those people are far away, nobody's thinking about them. But what we're facing now, we believe that energy exists forever. We believe that we have oil to power the desalination plants. We believe in so many things, and my advice is to be less certain of anything, because we can see how things can change so fastly. So we're just building up, not on nature, and because for whatever reasons we can have no energy, or the energy is going to change in the way we know it. So and we should listen to the people, and to maybe to travel, like somebody said that for any negotiation, the first person of the country should be present in those negotiations. So maybe if we're talking about Global South, we should go to Global South and see what's going on. And this should be happening, like for us, it's something that we should consider, that a company that is saying that they are saving the planet, saving the water, they should show how many hours they spent in Global South, so they saw this what is really going on there. And then the sustainability will shift to a factory in Bangladesh, and which is actually dumps toxic dying waste in the rivers. And then because we are humans, we need to see the things, we need to experience things. So we should not create a beautiful data sheets. We should go and physically monitor what's going on, not relying only on digital water footprint or whatever digital data we're collecting.
That's really like a good question for my next speaker, Karolina, because I wanted to ask Karolina, as someone representing food, which is, other than fashion, one of the most visible consumer industries, where overproduction and overconsumption are almost incentivized. People are promoted, and this is something Anita spoke to as well, which was that, we're encouraged to buy more, consume more, eat more, be photographed consuming more. I wanted to ask how you see responsibility being distributed between producers and consumers when it comes to overconsumption. And do you see a difference between how it's talked about and how it plays out in practice?
Yeah, thanks for the question. See, I hear a lot of talk about consumer responsibility, but in reality, I do believe everything starts with the producers as well, the companies. I think when changing our packaging, which was a massive costly step, but doing the right thing because it's the right way to operate. Shows also the customer that is possible, that is something that it can be done, and you can find like many excuses, but it shows you also the way. When you lead with this type of values as well, you are not selling a product anymore just like that. You are starting a movement, and suddenly the consumer's mindset will shift also to something like this, because you are making them easier for them to take a decision, right? From our perspective, we want to framework in a way that whenever you eat our food, you are being sustainable, whether you realize it or not. Right. And internally, it's all about governance. I understand that there's so many things that we can do, but we start like step by step, and we want to make it part of our culture, right? This is how we work here. Like we embed this in every single process in our supply chain. While the industry, for instance, average of food waste is between 4 to 6%, KCAL is operating at 2%. And there's way more to do there. But I think, step by step and making like embed into the culture of each company should be the first thing to do. And that will show the way to the rest of the consumers, in my opinion.
You mentioned starting a movement, right? Which is what you have very much done. It's well documented. This ambition that you have, that KCAL has to lead the way in terms of making these kind of choices about sustainability part of the way business operates in the first place, not as a nice to have. It should be a consideration from day one. Is that ambition something that is being rewarded, or not yet in the current sort of landscape?
See, if you don't, for us, the waste is like, if you don't account for your waste, you aren't managing your business properly. For us, waste is money left in the table, basically. Like when you put in that system, then I come to what Anita was mentioning before. It's like you have to make it work for the world as well. Anita and Elena as well. You have to make it work within the actual world, right? So for us, it comes to the system. So if you make the system to work within the company, then the rest of the benefits will come along. Now, is it reward by the current investment climate? Not always in the short term, to be honest. But we aren't building KCAL or companies for the next quarter. We are building for next generations. And this is the ambition part of our SDG strategy. We want to future-proof the business. So looking forward.
So there is a reason that I kept all my questions for Hussein at the very end, because I wanted to get all of these perspectives. I feel like, Hussein, you must be having so much food for thought at the moment and so much to share as well. So I want to kind of build on what all of the speakers said before, and also what you mentioned in your opening statements, is that within, you've noticed that like within the broader financing industry or space, environment is just seen as like it's on paper, it's just a metric that is being seen in a deck and not really understood or examined. But you yourself mentioned that the targets that are being set, or the global like net zero, 1.5 degrees, 2 degrees, whatever these targets are, these are accelerating faster than the investment can keep up with, or that like the investment is slowing down when these targets are getting more and more urgent. So can you tell us something, can you tell us a little bit about what you think from your ESG strategy perspective are the real metrics that these businesses or these people who want to work in sustainability should be bringing to the forefront to really strengthen their position as bankable and fundable initiatives?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And it's really definitely a very interesting discussion. I'd like perhaps to have a very quick comment, perhaps regarding the decarbonization and that offsetting scope. So I do work on net zero strategies, mainly aligned with SBTI, which require companies to prioritize deep decarbonization of their value chain, mainly across all the scopes 1, 2, and 3, before using carbon offsets to make sure that we are solving this the problem before doing the unavoided emissions. So completely agree with both the points were raised, to use carbon offsets whenever we can't, and also prioritize decarbonization. And since also to mentioned the airport or the airline, my current client is actually, I do work in the aviation industry supporting major airports. And we need to make sure, the strategy I set is to actually have sustainable aviation fuel to make sure that we have airport carbon accreditation. So definitely the decarbonization part is very, very important. And then we go to the offsetting part. The second, regarding the question itself, bankable sustainability commitments. So bankable is mainly three things: measurable, verifiable, and very likely to hit, because at the same time you are accessing sustainable finance at, let's say, a preferred rate. The bank itself needs to make sure that you are not really defaulting on that sustainability linked facility. So making sure that it is also there is something in for them. They're not doing it from the goodness of their hearts. But I do believe that that's how it should be incentivized. Maybe we can discuss what's the subsidy part, but I do think since if we really prioritized what is exactly measurable, verifiable with accurate data, that will be incentivizing industries and also innovation into how to comply with those metrics. So for example, like H&M, they have 2030 climate targets, which are really ambitious one, but they also pretty much silent about what number, which is matters how many garments they plan to put on the planet. So what exactly is the actual volume? And this basically, you cannot decarbonize the sector growing unit production at 3 or 4% growth rate a year with the current material mix, basically. And it is also very important, especially for the fashion industry. For example, the financing instruments that we have at the moment, since the scope is fashion, are built for a simpler problem. So it is measuring what the borrowers controls, rewarding them or incentivizing them with the reduced rates, and that can work with a cement plant, for example, but it may not work with fashion because 80% of the fashion actual carbon footprint, it sits in the upstream, in the cotton producers, the spinning, the dyeing. That usually sits in different providers in different sectors or different geographies. And the brand on top of that may raise billions in sustainability linked debt, and the actual dyeing house or the cotton producers where actual footprint is being realized cannot really raise a fraction of that amount. So the plumbing does not connect, but it is being rebuilt. So currently the sustainable finance are going on a route to have to finance down to tier 2 and 3. And there is also the blended finance is also being raised. So development and the commercial banks are stepping to take the first loss on the upstream upgrades. And there is the Appeal Impact Institute had dedicated a fund for this. This is early, pretty small funds, but it is also started basically 2 or 3 years ago, which did not exist before. So I do believe that the instruments are catching up, and the question is about the speed. How fast is it catching up with the necessities, basically, of addressing those climate change risks? Yep.
I have to say, I'm so impressed that for someone from a finance background, the amount you know about the fashion supply chain and the complexity of it is, I think it's really awesome. And I think it's really good to see that, regardless of the origin point, like if you're in ESG, if you're in finance or something like that, even energy, like we have all of these specialists who actually come from different backgrounds, but they understand that fashion ties into so many different things at once. Fashion and food, because, upstream agriculture, resource consumption is so relevant to food as well. I just wanted to know, and I want to actually ask this because we are almost done, and I want to kind of have a closing question to the group, about a minute each, if we can keep it to that. What is one shift in policy or in industrial practice or in financing that you would want to see, that you think is realistic in the next 2 to 3 years, and that would actually have an impact? And it doesn't have to be specific to your industry. It can be something from the other industry as well. So think of it as like something that you've thought of that the other industry could be doing that is realistic. And maybe we can, hear about whether it is or isn't. I want to go in the reverse order. So Hussein, if you want to start on that one.
Absolutely. So, very interesting. That's where we find like the interlink, basically, of how much everything is dependent on each other. So, and we are seeing the waves basically of this happening on our doorstep. So, within the next, I would say, 2 to 3 years, the Gulf banks will be a very important financier to the Asian manufacturing base, which actually, as you mentioned, perhaps influence closing, feeding, or like food production, and increasingly building the world. We have the UAE and Saudi Arabia are both advancing sustainable finance framework right now that will define what counts as a transition deal in this region. And if those roles only cover the company's own operation, we finance the same growth model that we have at the moment. So we need to include supply chain that the company touches, and we should have like a policy that reshapes that economy where capital dedicated to financing actual reduction. The second lever is actually the regulators. So making sure, taking guidance with Europe as well, but making sure that we have pricing basically on a climate risk into how much the bank capital can hold against their loans. And we do see this as well in mainly, I think, Oman. I did deliver that capital like it was a climate change circular, and Kuwait as well. But honestly, I'm optimistic about this. In the region, there is a momentum, and with this in motion, we are building towards like sustainable finance that finances cleaner and more sustainable industries, basically. Yep.
Thank you so much. Karolina, can you tell us something about, what is one shift that you want to see in terms of, cross-industry collaboration that can, be accessible and also have impact?
I'll love to see more and more companies going towards the same way. I would love to see lowering that bar of if we reach to 4% of wastage, let's lower it more and go for less and less and less, even more. I would like to see the use of AI consciously, because right now is like is getting out of control, and it's fine. We have to interact with technology. We have to use it, but let's do it with intention. Let's use it with conscious. At the same time, I would like to see because I think this is a thing that I find like where it brings us together in terms of food and consumption and fashion. Buy with intention, like I think the fast fashion and also what we consume, because of the reasons that we were mentioning earlier, just because the influencers show it, or because of the social pressure that dictates the way to go. I would like to see more like the change in the individual mindset. Like going towards the consume with intention, with conscious. And I know it's possible because I think more and more you see more companies and ambassadors going towards that direction. I'm positive, and I really want to see something happening. And obviously UAE has also the government is also supporting all these kind of initiatives. So I'm confident that we will make it.
Thank you so much. So Elena, I know you're so passionate about water, but do you see any like potential for collaboration with water and other industries? Or what does that look like for you? Or what do you want to see in the next 2 to 3 years that you think we could do if we got together and really made an effort?
At the moment, industries, they treat water as a trade secret. And if the food, energy, and fashion sectors are in one valley and they don't share their shared bank account, which is the aquifer, they will go bankrupt simultaneously. So we need, in my view, it's the future is in the transition from individual audits, individual company efficiency to basin level shared infrastructure financing. So we must move to integrated resource budgets, and it should require that every product show a water to life ratio. In other words, we should prioritize biological life over system optimization, but not company to company, but basin level shared infrastructure financing. That's the only place for us to survive.
I think that's fascinating, actually, like a shared infrastructure financing. So, like all the companies operating within a similar or the same geographic region are held to that same budget because they're sharing. I think that's brilliant, really. And then, Mr. Ibrahim, over to you. Really quickly, where do you think collaboration is possible between industries? That can have meaningful change. So not just energy, but energy with someone else. Do you think that that's possible? And if so, what does that look like?
Yeah, Nandita, I would like to give the conclusive statement now. I'm coming to the same point where we started. See what we heard from Anita about the carbon footprints and the carbon capture. This is the nations which they have the policy in place. All the nations, they have the policies in place, but it has to be more, you can say, updated. And the first thing is the measuring of the carbon footprints. Each and every industry, they have the carbon footprints. Okay, yeah, whether you talk about the fashion industries or heavy industries, they have the carbon. Some have the less carbon footprints, some has very high carbon footprint. So talking about these carbon credits, yes, I agree. But then those carbon credits to sell or buy, how you manage those carbon credits or carbon emission, because it's a process, you decarbonize, you make a carbon capture, and then those countries have the facilities to capture and then inject underground. So US is the having expertise in this carbon capture and injecting those carbon, and then you get the results, because after a long time the same carbon is going to give you as a product like the bricks and all, and that will be used in the construction industries. So this again, I'm coming to the same point that the policies has to be there, the framework policies has to be there, because nations, they decide their sustainability framework, their sustainability projects, their roadmap. So it's very important that when we talk about the power side, or we talk about the waste management, or we talk about any part of this, you can say, factors which are affecting the economy and the impacts on the environment.
And do you think that that policy is heading in that direction? Yes or no?
Definitely, the policy is heading, and especially UAE and the other countries, they are having their very, very good policies, and they are always updating those policies, and they know how to measure those you can say factors, especially the carbon footprints, and they know how to control these also.
Thank you so much, sir. And Anita, lastly, we want to hear from you on the closing statements from your perspective. What kind of cross-industry collaboration do you think is realistic within the next 2 to 3 years? And what does that actually require?
So I think that what we need to do is have circularity in our design with the material choices, production models, and by that, it will reduce the downstream waste. So if we can choose the right materials, be more thoughtful in our processes, it will make a difference. From textile recycling to waste to resource technologies, we have the technologies available. We can transform the fashion waste into an economic and environmental opportunity that would also make a difference. And really, we live in a part of the world where marketing is a huge industry, but we need to have responsible marketing. Hussein mentioned something about SAF, safe aviation fuel. It's really a small amount of SAF that's going in. And what they're doing is they're making it a marketing tool at the moment. I understand that they need to market it so that people see it and get excited about it, and then slowly it can increase. But right now, it costs a lot. It's I wouldn't call it greenwashing like we do with the plastics, but it is a little bit greenwashing when you don't have the full story behind it. So safe aviation fuel is great, but it's a little bit of misleading marketing that's happening, and there's a low availability of it, and it's insignificant in the short term. But in the future, I think it'll come. Also, hydrogen will come in the future. Also, landfills will disappear. Landfills can produce stable baseload power. They can be cracked for hydrogen and graphene. They can do a lot of things, but we just need to educate ourselves, and we need to be more thoughtful. And that's how I would end my discussion on this. I think it was an excellent panel. I want to say thank you so much. I think we could have talked till midnight. I'm sure of it. But and it's great. And
we are all here, basically almost the same amount of people that started. So it was really super interesting. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Nandita.
Yeah.
We learned so much. Amazing. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Do we have a discount code at KCAL, by the way?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. We have to talk anyway after the panels. Yeah.
I'll be an influencer for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Same.
Yeah.
100%, guys. 100%. The more, the merrier.
Thank you so much.
But I think I honestly I know I will personally be, please expect messages from me, all of you, with regards to, like, I have, just generally I want to learn from you, and I want to speak about your work, and where my research might have like gaps that I think you guys can fill. And I think that there might be room for, I think a lot of people might reach out to Hussein and be like, hey, we have some things that might need green financing. But I think this was a really, really amazing conversation. I'm so glad that we were able to come together. I hope that the panelists as well as the audience, took something away from it, and everyone felt like they learned something. I just want to say a really big, very heartfelt thank you to all of our speakers. Thank you so much for taking almost 2 hours out of your day to sit in on this panel and share your perspectives. And I think it's a testament to how great the conversation was that people stuck with it. So thank you so much to everyone who's participated. Thank you so much to the audience. And very happy Earth Day to everyone once again. Fashion Revolution Week has officially kicked off. Please stay tuned and follow us on socials for all of our upcoming events. And all of the points that were mentioned about responsible marketing, we have a panel about that on Sunday, moderated by me again. So if you're interested in that as a subject, please do tune into that one as well. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
And tomorrow we are meeting in Trip for Good in case that you want to reduce waste also. We're going to be mending together. And the films, I know you're going to love the films. Frida films amazing, Pauline films amazing. You're going to enjoy a lot. So please come over. We have a in person. I think we need it in these moments of uncertainty. It would be amazing to have, a together session. So I'm looking forward to see you all tomorrow, 5 o'clock in Trip for Good. Thank you so much for an amazing, amazing panel. I learned so much. I have so many notes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Thank you,
Bye.
Yes,
everyone.
Ina, tomorrow
Bye.
is in Trip for Good in Alcus, in that one, in Alcus, in the Sustainability Hub.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank
Looking
you.
forward to see you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.